Here's a piece of advice. When life throws lemons at you, trade them for chicken nuggets. It doesn't matter whether you're dipping them right into the sauce or you're munching them straight out of the oven, those crispy golden bites of bliss are the real definition of comfort. It took war, lab experiments, and even dietary guidelines to make chicken nuggets a big deal. But wait, before we go talking about the gospel of nuggets, do well to give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more content like this. Taking a stroll back in time to World War II, when the US military was scooping up all the red meat in the country for soldiers, Americans back at home had to turn to chicken as their main source of protein. The beef shortage had businesses cranking out chickens faster and much cheaper. The war really kicked the production of chicken into high gear. But just when everyone was settling with chicken, the military struck again. This time packing and grabbing almost all the chicken from Delmarva Peninsula. This kicked the door open for southern and midwestern producers to make their mark in the eastern markets. Then, the war wrapped up. The demand for chicken dropped. Red meat was back, and whole chickens were a bit of a hassle. They were too small to feed a family, but too big for one person. Plus, who had the time to roast a whole bird with more women joining the workforce? It was clear something new was needed to get Americans excited about chicken again. In 1963, a crazy scientist named Robert C. Baker tinkered away in a lab at Cornell University. Baker wasn't just any scientist, he was a poultry freak who'd already given us turkey ham and chicken hot dogs. And then he was on a bigger mission to make chicken as versatile, accepted, and beloved as any other meat out there. One day, Baker decided to create something different. He took those often overlooked parts of the chicken, ground them up, and molded them into boneless, bite-sized pieces. However, our crazy scientist didn't stop there. He knew these little nuggets needed a coat, a breading that would stay put through both frying and freezing. The solution involved a blend of grain vinegar, salt, and milk powder to bind the meat, combined with an egg and grain-based mixture for the breading. And voila, the perfect chicken nugget was created. Baker, named the George Washington Carver of chicken, didn't keep this discovery to himself. Nope, he mailed the recipe out to hundreds of American companies free of charge. This guy was all about spreading the nugget love. 1977 came and Congress decided it was time for a diet makeover, released the dietary goals for the United States, advising Americans to do away with red meat and opt for lean proteins like chicken. Of course, this was huge news for them. Everyone started freaking out about fatty foods like milk, beef, and butter. Chicken was being pushed and marketed as the healthier choice. But things got more serious as the government was pushing for more chicken, the poultry industry was cranking up mass production and processing. Meanwhile, America's fast food joints were in a bit of a pickle. Their beloved burgers weren't selling like they used to. The timing was perfect for a new hero to emerge from the fryer. And that hero was the chicken nugget. Alright guys, at some point in our lives, we've all thought that McDonald's were actually the original creator of chicken nuggets. Now that we know the real story of the birth of chicken nuggets, let's hear McDonald's story, or should I say, McNuggets. It was in the early 1980s, and McDonald's founder, Ray Kroc, was super determined to come up with a fresh menu that could compete with America's love affair with red meat. He wanted something somewhat bite-sized and suitable that looked like French fries but was actually made of chicken. Fred Turner, McDonald's chairman, entered the scene, and yes, he had a vision. A boneless piece of chicken that could be sold just like French fries vision. So, McDonald's hired chef Rene Arend, a culinary master who had cooked for none other than Queen Elizabeth II. Rene whipped out a fried chicken breast and sauce that everyone at the corporate office loved. But there was a problem. They couldn't reproduce it on the massive scale needed for McDonald's franchises. A chicken pot pie idea came and went, leaving them back at square one. That's when McDonald's called in the big guns. Keystone Foods, the frozen hamburger experts, to figure out the chicken chopping process, and Gorton's, famous for their fish sticks, to create a perfect batter that could withstand mass production. After some trial and error, they finally had it, the Chicken McNugget. In 1981, the very same year Chef Rene whipped up the infamous McRib, Chicken McNuggets debuted in Knoxville. And yeah, trust McDonald's to make a splash. The response was so huge that McDonald's knew they'd hit the jackpot. It was at that point they knew they needed a ton of chicken to match with the frenzy. Tyson Foods got into the scene, took up the challenge, creating a new breed of chicken specially for McNuggets. The bird, named Mr. McDonald, had massive breasts, making it look like Tyson's previous breeds looked like they were on a diet. Once Mr. McDonald's chickens were ready, they were processed into 4 iconic nugget shapes: the bone or bow tie, the bell, the ball, and the boot. These shapes were made to see that every nugget was cooked just perfect, and they're still around today. And by 1983, McNuggets, with a trio of dipping sauces, hot mustard, barbecue, and sweet and sour, were ready to take over America. Just after months of their launch, McDonald's became the second largest chicken retailer in the world, following KFC. The nugget madness was so high that some people even thought Ronald McDonald was the genius behind the nugget. If only Baker had snagged that patent. Experiencing the success with McNuggets, McDonald's decided to push the McChicken. In 1988, the McChicken successfully returned to the menu for good, despite a short break in 1996. After witnessing McDonald's success with chicken, other major fast food chains quickly followed suit. Chains like Burger King, Wendy's, and KFC all joined the trend of serving nuggets. Despite serving chicken since 1946, Chick-fil-A claimed that they were the first to make nuggets in 1982. Regardless of the true origin, the madness for chicken nuggets was well established. Chicken nuggets were widely available by the end of the 1980s, including in the freezers of grocery stores. Fast forward to 2018, and McDonald's decided to bring back its limited edition Szechuan sauce. Remember Rick and Morty's craze for that sauce? Yeah, it was wild. The sauce sold out almost instantly, and fans went nuts, rioting, demanding their Szechuan fix. As you can see, chicken nuggets changed farming forever. In 1965, the typical American consumed around 36.6 pounds of chicken annually. By 2020, the figure had surged to 97.5 pounds. What led to this insanely high increase? Certainly chicken nuggets. They not only added flavor to fast food menus, but also increased chicken consumption and revolutionized poultry production. With the rise in popularity of chicken nuggets, the need for chicken increased greatly, causing farmers to produce birds at a more rapid rate. In the late 1970s, big agribusinesses were able to produce mature chickens in only 6 weeks, greatly boosting the poultry farming industry. The drive for effectiveness resulted in some highly questionable labor practices and animal welfare concerns. However, it wasn't all negative and depressing. The surge of chicken nugget popularity led to a movement advocating for improved practices. The step into the era of sustainable agriculture with chickens raised without hormones, birds free to roam, and flocks raised on pastures. Chicken nuggets revolutionized farming and also led to improved, more ethical practices in poultry production. Therefore, when you savor those crunchy nuggets in the future, keep in mind that they are just one aspect of a larger narrative that is continuing to develop. Anyway, curiosity about the ingredients of these nuggets grew. McDonald's initially described McNuggets as savory chunks of boneless white and dark meat. In the 1980s, the Federal Trade Commission investigated their composition to ensure no unwanted parts were included. The original recipe included thigh and breast meat, some skin, and salt. In 2003, McDonald's updated the recipe to use only breast meat, and in 2016, they removed all artificial flavors, colors, and preservatives. Chicken nuggets have come a long way. Whatever shapes or forms you love them to be, there's no denying they've made a tasty place in our hearts and our stomachs. And if you're ever in line for McNuggets, just remember the wild ride that brought them to your tray. Do let us know your thoughts in the comments section below.